Hi, I'm Harry Wright, autistic comedian, and you're watching Autism 101, a web series every week in UK lockdown, or most weeks anyway, in which I explore everything to do with autism. This week I've been thinking about health and fitness a lot. I started trying to get fit in lockdown because it's a bit depressing being shut indoors all day. And I know you're all already laughing at the vest, but that does explain it. Like, it's 3 sizes too big. I bought it to sleep in bed. I've started going running in it. I look like a 13-year-old boy. I've got absolutely no chest hair. I just hate everything to do with it, but I also deeply love it. You know, like when, you know those old films from the 90s where an 8-year-old boy has to wear his dad's clothes? That's what I look like every time I put this on, and I've got nothing else to run in, so I just have to go out in public in it now. It's become part of my brand. It's so baked in at this point. But I've started running in lockdown. I'm really into it. I never thought I would be. I'm not very sporty. I sort of need to be a bit more hench to get away with this fucking vest. And I feel if you're going to be a sort of big sports fitness guy, you need to have one of those branded vests. You need to have one of those branded vests, you know, with like eat, pray, sex on it, or like suck dick on Tuesdays, Popeye on the other days, or whatever. But the weirdest one of these I've seen, I saw Tyson Fury on TV, and he had one on saying, hustle, pray, eat. One of those things doesn't fit in, does it? Eating's not a lifestyle choice. You can choose to hustle, you know, you can choose a hardy work. You can choose whether to pray, you can choose whether you're religious. You can't choose whether to eat. You need to eat or you'll die. How does he not know this? I don't think eating is what made him the great boxer that he is. Great boxer, horrible guy. He's a very homophobic man, Tyson Fury. He said he believes marriage is between man and woman. I'm gay, if that wasn't obvious from the vest. And I'm quite upset when I hear that, because I've always enjoyed watching his fights on TV. And I don't like to hear that sort of thing. But, I don't know, I think maybe it's excusable. Because I think he might be autistic like me, and I think it's all the steroids. If you watch any of his interviews, he is so wooden. That is not a neurotypical man. You know, I can't wait to hear his views on autism. He's already said shit things about homosexuality, he's said crap things about mental health. Like, everything in my life, he just hates so much, and that's why I fancy him. No, right, shh. Obviously I don't fancy Tyson Fury. The thing is, though, his name already sounds like a 70s porn star that was cancelled. Like, what a weird situation to be in. That's probably why he's so homophobic. He's just terrified that one day he's not going to be famous anymore, and someone's going to be Googling Tyson Fury, looking to have a wank over something vintage, and just see him beating a guy up and get the wrong end of the stick. So lockdown. Difficult time for sex. Difficult time for love. Difficult time for all emotions in general. That is for neurotypical people. People like me have always found emotions a bit confusing. We have lots of them. In fact, autistic people are sometimes more emotional than your average person. But we express them in different ways to the rest of you. So, I'm going to show you how I think about love, sex and desire, and all the general horniness you're experiencing in lockdown through my favourite medium, graphs! So this is a graph, dicks that have been sucked before, during and after lockdown. Now, as you can see, as lockdown started in the UK, the dick sucked went almost to zero. There's where lockdown was imposed and we were stuck in our houses. Very, very few people sucking any sort of dick at all. Maybe people isolating with their families. Hopefully it was their husband or wife within the family and not another family member. Oh, and then it suddenly trended up. This was me getting the average up. This was when I broke out of lockdown to hook up with a Colombian. Statistics show, biggest dicks in the world. The World Health Organization actually did a study. Whatever twink was hired to do that deserves all the knighthoods in the world. Fantastic information for gay men to know. And then, as you can see, we've gone back down to almost zero. Almost zero dicks being sucked in my way at the moment. That is purely because I've cut my own hair and am now completely undesirable to anyone. In fact, I've been informed I look like an EDL member. The thing is that I know there's a niche for people that find that attractive, and I'm desperate, but that's not something I want to play into. Now, people sometimes ask me what sort of people I'm attracted to. You know, what sort of guys do I like? Do I have a ranking system for them? Of course I've got a ranking system. It goes like this. Gay, other, anime, straight. Sorry, not for me. So what you see in here is the national number of hookups had by gay men over different days in lockdown. So you can see during the middle when we were struggling a lot and when the Colombian happened for me, that was when it sort of shot up most, rapidly went down as we all tested positive, and then it started to sort of zigzag ever since. Hopefully we'll be out of lockdown soon and we can get to somewhere in a happy medium. I'm only teasing, of course. Our happy medium is always all the way over there. A big cliche about autistic people is that we're very unemotional. No, we're not. We go through more anxiety and depression than the general population. Our emotions are all over the place. It's just we have a hard time getting them out and expressing them in ways that are understandable. So to demonstrate this, this is what your average person thinks autistic emotions are like. Flat. And this is what, day to day, they're actually like, particularly at the moment. Basically, our emotional state is constantly like an abstract expressionist painting, and that is why we always make the greatest artists. Finally, I've read recently that the average man thinks about sex once every 7 seconds. I know that's not the case for me. I'm too caught up in my own obsessions to think about anything else. Worrying if your obsession is sex, but that's a straight boy thing, I think. But neurotypical men might think about sex every 7 seconds. Here's what the autistic man's brain looks like. Train timetables, sex, and a combination of the two. Never anything else, and we're happy that way. With masks becoming mandatory in shops next week, I wanted to demonstrate to you why this is a good thing for autistic people, and for gays as well. Now, often we enjoy social distancing in our normal life when we're not locked down. We're having a great time at the moment. And we're looking forward to everybody wearing a mask, because it means no one's going to touch us or come near us. And that's fantastic. Don't want any of those heterosexual, neurotypical germs on me. But for the gay community, we find that the whole fuss around mask wearing is a bit odd, because it feels very familiar to us. We wear a lot of masks in our own lives. So I've got this for you. We've got a straight boy who hates wearing a mask. And we've got a gay boy. Finally, he understands why the logo for Grindr is a mask. If you don't understand that joke, log on to Grindr and look at the logo for yourself. So you can laugh at that joke, but make sure the wife doesn't see. And if she does, just tell her, let's just laugh at that Harry Wright joke. I'm not gay, there's nothing to worry about. And she definitely won't believe you, because she's seen me on there too. Right, so this week's recommendations. If you've watched before, you'll know every week I recommend something by an autistic creator that I like, whose work I want to signal boost. But this week I'm not going to be doing that. There's 3 things that are a bit more important than that I need to share with you. So check all of these out, tell a friend, lend them your support. So the first recommendation is the Creative Resource Exchange. This is a new platform set up by a friend of mine, Daniel Matthews, friend of the show, really funny comedian on the London circuit. He's a graphic designer by day, and he's put together a new online portal for people to pool information and share skills and exchange work related to graphic design, digital marketing, anything like that. So if you're struggling for money at the moment, or you need some work doing for a campaign you're involved in, and you want to find the right person for it, you can go to danielmatthewscomedy.com and find out about the Creative Resources Exchange that he's putting together. He says, this service is a way to support individuals and provide a lifeline for industries. Money and other resources will be limited, and obviously industries are on the point of collapse. And this service is available to all who are in need of free creative resources. It will be Daniel himself running it initially, and priority will be given to projects in aid of Black Lives Matter or LGBT projects, and any small businesses that need work doing but can't afford it. So yeah, if you go to danielmatthewscomedy.com, you can find out a bit more about that. It's definitely something you should check out if you're short of money and need some creative work or charity work doing. Secondly is the Anti-Racist Social Club. This is a social justice organisation I'm very tangentially involved in helping to set up. It's been founded by my friend Kimmy Allen, who's a brilliant comedy sketch writer and social justice activist. If you go to the antiracist.social.club on Instagram, that's the antiracist social, all one word, .club, you'll find out more about it. He's basically setting up a space and resource for dialogue, sharing of information and posts about Black Lives Matter and other related campaigns between white people and black people. And I think a bit more sort of sensible dialogue is what we really do all need at the moment. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that develops. Definitely something to give you time to. Finally, guys, I'm sure most of you have seen the Save Live Comedy petition doing the rounds. It's estimated, according to an industry survey, that 77% of comedy clubs aren't going to last for a year due to what's going on at the moment. It would be a terrible, terrible thing if live comedy was to collapse as we know it, or if it was to come back purely as a preserve of the well-off. It's an absolutely vital thing at this time. Like, it's much of my life, and it's much of most people's lives I know, and it's hugely important to, have as much social comment and as much humour as we can in sort of grim times like these. There's a petition to put pressure on the government to support live comedy, because we're not eligible for Arts Council funding, we're not eligible for any of the government's new arts bailout, so we're a bit screwed if they don't pull the finger out. I've got a link to the petition in the video description. If you haven't signed it and shared it already, please do that urgently. Otherwise, the majority of venues across the country are going to close, and that's where all the comedy you see on TV, everything that you see that you've loved, is initially formed. It's where new ideas are formed. They're some of the best places in Britain. They're where some of the funniest people in the world have come out of. If you want there to be a new generation of people like that, like get that signed, or it'll just all be pricks like me having to like try and do things on YouTube because there's no clubs anymore, and I really don't think we need any more of that. So get that signed, that's in the description. Support all of those things. I'll put links to all of them in the video description. If you have any questions about it, like, feel free to get in touch. I'm happy to chat about anything I'm involved with or anything I support that I'm not involved with. Yeah. So next week we've got Mark Birkwood coming on, as explained. That's going to be very, very fun. Definitely check that out. He's an extremely funny man and a very interesting thinker on autism. Thank you all very much for watching. The vest has now gone. I could not bear it any longer. But before this turns into a really weird autistic strip show, I'm going to go.